All right, let's look forward and backwards at the same time if we can manage to pull this off. 877-881-1053. What was your favorite moment of the Mavs regular season? Obviously, there's an opportunity for big moments to happen because that's what the playoffs are for. They're made to give you moments that you remember, right? One of the ones that I always come back to, double overtime in the bubble, bang, bang. Mark Breen giving you that legendary call in the midst of Luka Doncic's first playoff trip. And, I mean, that moments like that are bound to happen. But let's look backwards to the regular season. What were your favorite moments in the regular season? Is there one that jumps out for you?
Yeah, 877-881-1053. I need every person that is available to text them in because I'm going to miss some, and I do not want to do a disservice to the Mavericks regular season because there's been so many. Reggie, I'm going to need you just to cut me off. And you're like, all right, Blake, we get it. Let's go on to another moment.
You want to take the rest of the segment? Okay,
we can keep going back, but there's so many that are popping in my head because it has been, I say this non-biasly, and people outside of the Mavs, people who don't really watch basketball that much, have been like, the Mavs have been the most entertaining, one of the most entertaining teams to watch, if not the most.
Particularly down the stretch.
They just have their high-flying kind of Lob City-esque with Gafford and PJ.
And you mentioned Lob City, the first one that comes in after you asked from the 9-7-2, the dunk game. That'd be against Utah relative, what was that, 3 weeks ago, thereabouts, where they were throwing up all of these alley-oops, including what I think on NBA social media channels has been the most watched play all season.
Where Luka dives out to the ball.
Luka gets a steal, flips it to Kyrie. Kyrie gets out in the break, throws no look alley-oop back to airplane mode. Derrick Jones Jr., who caps it off.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a game in which you had like 18 dunks. And that was, what's funny is I don't think I watched that game intently. That might have been a game that I was watching here in this seat. And so I'm running the show and not able to put a good eye on it. But it was very evident from the way people were tweeting about it and talking about it that was a phenomenal moment to be fully immersed in. So I completely understand why that's one of the ones that jumps up immediately.
Another one. I got 2 Oklahoma City ones for you. You tell me what's the better moment. And Chris, you're more than welcome to jump in as well. 30-0 run. 30-0 run when the Mavs went absolutely insane and the Thunder could not stop them.
That was the very first game that you get Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington playing. In fact, I remember the way that arena sounded because this was my first or second game getting to go during this season. I was like, oh, these guys are instant fan favorites. Like, just uproarious applause for both of them cats. Well, actually, PJ more than anything. Or no, Daniel. Daniel as well.
We got to, I don't know, we got to get a gauge from the fans. Is that the number one moment of the season? That felt like one of the peaks.
No, it can't be the number one because the number one is jumping up from the 469 from the 682. Sethnicity on Twitch. The Kyrie Irving left-handed over the reigning MVP.
Yeah.
Game-winning
finish.
Game-winning floater, heave, hook thing.
That was definitely the peak. That was the peak of like, oh my gosh.
We couldn't stop talking about it for literally half a week.
Yeah. Or everybody, that was the talk of the town. So I think that's at the one. I'm putting that 30-0 first game at least in the top 3.
I was about to say, a lot of these were coming, and some of this is going to be recency bias, but some of this is just the team clicked into a different mode after the trade deadline. Are there any games ahead of the trade deadline? Because you can always remember, and this is like when we talk about the NBA in general, there was a week in which multiple players scored 60-plus in wins, including Luka Doncic scoring 73 points on the Atlanta Hawks head top.
Now, wait, was the 30-0 in the first game with the trade? Weren't those different games? Because they lost the 30-0 game, right? Where they came back and they lost that one. I think those are 2 different games because they lost that game. They did the 30-0 comeback, lost. And then the game where they had all the new guys, they won.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So
that's my bad. Both of those are up there. 73 versus the Hawks was... I think everybody that's listening right now remembers exactly where they were when that game was happening. Like, you were just like, everyone was watching. It's one of the most watched games because everyone was talking about it on socials.
Was that 73 or 72?
73.
That's 73. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then, okay, one of my personal favorites, I was pumping my fist. This is one of those where you're jumping up and down, like physically excitement. The back-to-back Kings games late in the season where you were fighting for playoff season. I think almost everybody knew how important those games were. And you had the clutchness, Dante's Inferno, sitting it. Oh, no, that was the Rockets. Oh, my God.
I was going to mention that Mavs-Rockets game. We were watching here.
Dante had the clutch threes in the Kings, but then he had the actual buzzer beater to send to overtime versus the Rockets when they had that comeback win.
And then PJ gives you the daggers.
The daggers. I don't even know how to weigh those both.
From the corner, yeah.
I think the Kings were more important, and that's why those are really high. And my favorite, those are really exciting memories. But the Rockets was just fun to watch as like a fan, just like hitting this buzzer beater, sending it to overtime. Man, that's got to be up there. It's most exciting. OT buzzer beater. That was our only overtime game.
Because that was a day game on a Sunday, wasn't it?
I don't remember what time.
Yeah, it was right after Alec and Blake.
Because I was in arena for that, and that was such a wild thing. Because early on in that game, they had been so poor that we looked around and like, I don't know, I don't think they win this game, and they did.
Okay, from the 4-6-9, what about whooping the Suns by 30?
I don't even remember that game. Not gonna lie.
Was that Christmas?
It happens so often with the Suns.
I think it was Christmas.
Wow, look at you.
It was Christmas when Luka and Grayson Allen both went crazy from three. They both almost set their record for most threes made on Christmas Day.
Grayson Allen got himself a nice little contract extension.
Yeah.
People are like, why? Grayson Allen had the best shooting percentage of all
shooting. Yeah, he was number one
this year.
He was okay.
Like, people just don't like him, and rightfully so. He'd be out here kicking people and then crying.
Here's another one from a different 4-6-9. Gafford testing Wilt's consecutive basket streak.
That was a fun time because you just kept looking up like, is he really going to? I guess he's going to. And what's crazy is I think a lot of people had resigned to the idea that, he's going to do this. And then just early on into a game, I don't remember what game it was, but it was early on in the game. We're like, all right, here we go. He's going to try. And then just a bucket that refused to go. And just like that, it felt like you were just settled in. Like, you know how back in the day when Mike Tyson fights, people had just settled in and the fight was over. You just settled in. You're like, all right, we're going to see history tonight. And he missed it. And you're like, we're not gonna. I mean, and you can't just turn it off because the game, like, there's still a game that was important, but you're like, well, that let some air out of the balloon, didn't it?
Okay. How about it just skipped my mind. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had one perfectly catapulted and I completely forgot. Chris, is there anyone we're missing? Well, I think
Gafford and PJ's debut has to be top three for me. I mean, Luka 73, that one, the top two.
Where are you putting Dante's Inferno?
Dante's Inferno, top 5. The fact that we have like a dozen games we can go back to, this regular season has been insane.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I remember Dante Exum going crazy against the Lakers when he had like 6 or 7 threes.
Yes.
And everyone was like, does he do this all the time? And we were like, no.
The Lakers were sick because you could tell they were like, we're letting him shoot. And he was like, oh, really?
That was a fun game. And that was that the game where Kyrie hits the, not game winner, but the dagger with like 25 seconds. Luka drives to the middle of the court, hits Luka on the left wing, and he knocks on that big time 3. And this was right when maybe some rumors were speculating that the Lakers were interested in Kyrie, and Kyrie hit that dagger and let him know. That was a really fun game in the middle of the season. It's been a lot of good ones.
I can't recall. Man, there's been a lot. And this is the thing, is that there's been so many good ones that it's hard to go. I mean, of late, there's been a lot of good ones within the last month.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'm trying to take myself back and remember some of the ones even before that.
I'm trying to think of players, their performances.
Yeah, like individuals, because that'll help you bring those back up.
Yeah.
73 is like the earliest one. And then that's like anything around there is like, what were the good ones?
I mean, Luka was on a tear. I mean, he drops 43 and we don't even bat an eye.
I mean, just an incredible year in which you have so many fun moments, and like not just like, you know, moderately fun moments, hugely fun moments that you can't even parse out all the ones that happen. Somebody from the 214, they said I call the 73-point game the Blake Candle game.
I'm not sure where that's. Did I talk about candles that day?
Were we talking about candles that day?
We must have been talking about candles.
I think that was a day where we were sitting here talking about candles. That's hilarious. Yeah, what an incredible season it's been thus far, and still plenty of opportunity to make more memories as we go forward. We'll talk more about who the X factors are going forward. We'll be on same configuration tomorrow evening as well. So we have more time, as we're not getting this first round started until Sunday afternoon, 2:30 on ABC is when this thing gets started. Clippers, Mavs at crypto.com arena. And yes, it keeps coming up. Kyrie left-handed shot, Kyrie hook shot. Just a crazy one that was all over nationally. And I think that early on got people to sit up and be like, okay, this team is for real, for real. This is really a team that needs to be contended with. And the Clippers are going to be the first team to have to deal with that in the playoffs.